Hi, and welcome to the Whispering Mountain Grill. Because of the weather outside, and it is pouring, I really wasn't inclined to cook outside tonight, and my wife and daughter wanted pizza. Now I have a good friend who I will not mention by name who had trouble getting pizza to be round. It sort of looked like an amoeba. You know, my personal opinion, if it looks like an amoeba, if it's a delicious amoeba, that's fine. If it's not, well, then we work on that. But, alright, we start out with our dough. And I always put a little bit of olive oil in here, just to get it, you know, kind of doesn't stick to things as much if there's a little bit of olive oil. We're also going to put some flour down on the wooden board. It's a cutting board, but I use this for rolling out the dough and for prep work. Put some dough down, and we're going to take our pizza dough and unceremoniously plop it down. That's out of the way. Now, take note, and you know who you are. Start out just very gently. Start with some stretching. I'm going to take the dough and I'm going to start with your knuckles. Sort of, you're going to take your hands and you're just going to try to stretch the dough out. And you can watch now, Mr. Bear, you can back up. You're not getting pizza. And we just very slowly and very easily, and we can take and just let the weight of the dough pull, and it'll stretch some, although you got to be careful, because what will end up happening is you'll stretch it to the point where it'll start breaking, getting too thin in the middle. Yeah, now we start. Yeah, you're gonna have fun doing this, but sometimes doesn't always. But what you want to do is you want to spin a little bit so that we get our dough start getting a little bit bigger. And going around like this is what helps. You'll notice it's getting larger as we're spreading it out. I know it looks like an amoeba, but that's all right. Take, and I'm going to put a little more olive oil on here. Just a tiny little bit. I just put it on my fingers. And just get some olive oil on there. And I'll roll it out a little bit. Just sometimes it makes it a little bit easier and a little bit faster to go. And we'll set this back down, and we're back to stretching. If you're in a hurry, this is not the way to make pizza. Go get a DiGiorno. Okay, we've got pizza starting to stretch out a little bit more now. Another friend of mine who will also remain nameless. Some folks ended up existing on Domino's Pizza. My deepest sympathies. We stretch a little bit. Okay. There we go. And we go around, and again, this, the weight of the dough will help stretch it. And you see, I'm just stretching it out a little bit by hand here. I am by no means a professional pizza maker. I don't need to be. Now what I'm going to do, stretch the pizza out. Stretch the dough out, and we're again back to sort of stretching the dough. You don't want to stretch it too far or too much, because what you'll end up doing is tearing the dough, and well, that's not really a major issue for most people. It's upsetting enough that we're going to try not to do that. And okay, kind of round. From here, you could probably let a 3-year-old do it. I did put a little bit of flour on the inside, on the pan here, underneath, and there's just a little bit of olive oil. Because without it, now we can do this here. Without that, what you'll end up with is it sticking to the bottom of the pan, which is in itself not a good thing. Now, let's take a regular, ordinary loaf. Again, we're doing this because we're in a little bit of a hurry. We're just going to take a little bit of tomato sauce, pasta sauce, take your ladle, and spread it out. You do not want tons and tons of sauce on a pizza. Now if you do, you put on a little bit more. So what we're going to do, we're going to add a little bit more here. I like the Newman's Own. I've used so many different ones, it's not even funny, so, you know, just, I like the marinara sauce. And I like the sauce a little bit sharper. You know, some people like the sauce sweet, some people like it fiery hot. Well, there's, you know, you can get the Fra Diablo. You know, there's other ways you can do this, but the marinara works, and then I will simply season it a little bit. Okay, I'm done with this for now. Okay, we took a moment here, and we're getting the pizza prepped here now. So I wanted to get some of the stuff out of the refrigerator, such as the cheese and stuff. Now, I use a mixture of the Locatelli Romano and the Parmesan cheese. I also, there's a little bit of Asiago cheese in here as well. I mix it all together, and this way just goes on here. I usually put a little bit of this down first. Neither my wife or my daughter's complained yet, so I guess I'm doing okay. Some garlic powder, because it's not a pizza without garlic. That, my friends from Tennessee, it's not a pizza if there's not garlic on it. I put a wee little bit of onion powder. Some black pepper, because I like the flavoring that that'll add to it. And of course, we have our basil here. Now, the basil here, this is the Lighthouse freeze-dried basil. Don't want to put tons of this stuff on, because it gives you a real strong basil flavor. And Neither of the girls really like it real strong, but just do a little bit. And I can't give you measured amounts because I'm simply pinching it. Okay, my secret to good pizza is savory. Not ground savory, savory leaves. They're freeze-dried, but they'll be alright. I put savory in all of my Italian dishes, and I think it adds a little extra something to it. Delicious flavor. This is from Morton & Bassett. You can find that online. Just Google Morton & Bassett. You can find they have jars of this. Some of your better local grocery stores and spice stores might have that spice. When you're cooking with savory, you kind of experiment. I don't put tons of it on, but at the same time it's got to have enough to add some flavor to it. You can grow savory spice, and if you're going to do that, make sure that you don't use as much as if it was the dried stuff. Okay, our oven is heated to 550 degrees. So that'll give us a fast, good pizza, very close to what you'll get in a pizzeria. They normally heat their ovens to about 600 degrees. That's not really an option with this, but it'll be okay. Now I use a mixture of the Sargento off the block. It's the mozzarella and provolone. And for you Italians, yes, I'm saying mozzarella wrong. Deal with it. In this bag here, it's 4 cups. I'm probably using almost half. You put as much cheese on there as you like. Although you get to a point where if your pizza is swimming with cheese to the point where it's too much. So, you know, it's something to experiment with. Now what I like to do is get the cheese out to the point where it goes a little bit beyond the sauce. This way the cheese will stick to the dough when it cooks rather than not. And you know, what happens, you ever get a pizza and you know where it's in the car and it's moving back and forth and all the cheese slides off to one side. So you got one side, you've got a dough pizza, and the other side you've got 4 inches of pizza. The idea here is just let it come out toward the edge so that this way it will stick a little bit on the outsides. It's not perfectly round, but it'll do. You can always stretch a little bit. Now, we're going to just stick it in the oven just about 8 minutes. I am using a pizza stone. Better idea to use a pizza stone. You'll get a better consistency, and on the bottom of the pizza it won't be as mushy. Using a pizza stone is a good idea. If you don't have a pizza stone, then don't use one. And with that, we'll be back with you in about 7.5 minutes. Okay, it's been 8 minutes and about 45 seconds. We're going to shut that off. We're going to turn the heat off. We're going to take a look here. To do that, I'm going to need one of these. It's way too hot to be taking out with my bare fingers, much as some of you might enjoy that. Oh, for a couple of my other good friends, no, there's no barbecue sauce mixed in. I'm sure that might be asked at some point. Simply you're going to take a spatula, make sure that it's able to move around, and here we go. We'll set that there so it's good. And there you go, Whispering Mountain Pizza. Let it sit for a minute or so before we take our wheel cutter and we cut it. This is probably the best device I've ever seen for cutting pizza. That's why they sell so many of them. I've seen people use just a regular butcher knife. I guess you can do it that way. This is much easier. It's a much better way to do it. And we simply roll across. Like that. And there we go. Only thing we have to do now, serve it up. And
Good.
thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoy. Again, most of what I try to do here is to give you inspiration to do things a little bit differently, to cook, to have fun, to enjoy. Nothing says you have to do it the way I do it, but this works for me, and look, it's almost round. It's not an amoeba. And thankfully it's not a Paranecium either. All right, we'll see you next time.